So good morning, class. For our lecture for this morning, we shall talk about on how you are able to craft your research questions, and later on talk about the different research designs, specifically the authors. So let me just share my slide to everyone. I hope all of you are doing good this morning. Let me just share my slide. Share slide. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the crafting of your research questions in a qualitative research. Now, this is very important because currently you are now doing your introduction, your statement of the problem, your research question, and your background of the study. We will go back to the statement of the problem, particularly on how you're able to craft your research questions, because this is very vital in terms of later on the creation of your actual research questionnaires that you will be giving to your participants. Let me start first with this quotation from Thomas Watson when he said, "The art of asking the right question is half the battle of finding the answer." And yes, this is very true because the correct questions that you will be giving your participants would be the key to your success in trying to be able to get, hopefully, the right answers from your participants, which you need in your actual research. Now, our discussion will focus on the importance of crafting strong research questions in a qualitative research. Now, research questions serve as the compass of the study, and they are able to provide you focus, direction, and how it is going to shape your research. Unlike when you do quantitative research, again, they would be able to test the hypothesis. You're not going to do that in a qualitative research. You are going to measure the variables. Qualitative research thrives on exploring the lived experiences, the meanings, and the context. That's why when you do qualitative research, you are after the categories in your actual study and not the variables. Now, through our discussion, you will learn how to construct meaningful research questions. Hopefully, you'll be able to look again, by looking again looking at your research questions again, polishing it, and apply the appropriate qualitative research designs. Is it really a case study, a phenomenology, an ethnography, or a grounded theory? Now, at the end of the discussion, hopefully, we'll be able to learn the following: the importance of a well-crafted research questions in a qualitative research. You will identify the strategies for developing the strong and relevant research questions and demonstrate the ability to design your research titles align with the qualitative research approaches. Now, remember, the approaches has been articulated in your introduction, primarily in paragraph number 5, which says that the study will make use of, let's say, a qualitative case study approach. And then you have to be able to explain it using a specific citation of what that specific qualitative research design is all about. And then hopefully you'll be able to identify or differentiate the qualitative research design, case study, phenomenology, ethnography, grounded theory in relation to formulating your questions. And finally, apply the insights from established qualitative scholars, the authors, which you will be needing in helping you out in terms of shaping your paper so that you'll have direction and you know what you're talking about in terms of what you're going to do in your research, because you are anchored with a specific qualitative research author. Now, let's talk about the importance of crafting your research questions in qualitative research. Again, number one, this will be able to give you direction. The research questions will guide you in terms of the flow of your study, ensuring that the researcher remains focused on your purpose rather than just wandering into irrelevant topics. And that's why your research title must be connected to your aim. Again, your research title must be connected to your aim, to your purpose, and later on to your research question. Now, the panelists or me, normally as a researcher, would be able to check the alignment or the synergy again with your title, with your the aim or the approach, and the purpose, and the research questions. All of it should be connected. Otherwise, you will be questioned later on. For example, why is it the research question number 3? How is that connected to your purpose, to your aim, the aim of the study? Number 2, this will clarify your purpose. The strong questions make the intent of the study very clear, and this will be able to communicate to your actual reader or your participants what the phenomena or the experience will be explored. Now, this would shape your methodology, which will be on chapter 3. Now, the way a question is formed, it often dictates the design chosen, whether you're going to do a case study, an ethnography, phenomenology, or even a grounded theory. Number 4, this would ensure relevance. Now, when you do a well-crafted questions, it will address the contemporary issues that you're raising in your research, ensuring that the research contributes to the knowledge and the practice. It should be something new. It should add to the new body of knowledge, and it should be able to help, let's say, an organization, an individual, or society in general. Number 5, encourages depth of exploration. And that's why you'll be able to put an open-ended research questionnaires later on. In chapter 3, you're going to be able to craft that using your research questions. So the research questions you have created, those are not the actual research questions that you are going to be able to give to your participants, but you will have to be able to create an open-ended research questionnaires for them to be able to answer what you are needing in terms of the answers. Now, the exploratory questions would allow for deeper analysis of experiences, the behaviors, or any social context. Number 6, this will facilitate the ethical research. Ethics, we talk about what is good, what is bad, what is within the standards set by a group, organization, or community. Precise questions prevent unnecessary probing into sensitive areas. And you will have to be able to put that also in your ethical considerations and in your scope and delimitation, ensuring that the participants' rights and dignity are respected. So before you would do your actual interview, you will have to ask for your informed consent. They will have to know what's the purpose of your study, why are they being asked to do so, okay, and many others. And lastly, it enhances the credibility and trustworthiness of your actual research. Clear and focused questions support transparency, making the findings more reliable and meaningful. Now, when you do a qualitative research, normally, of course, the panelists would ask how reliable are the actual answers that you got from your participants. Of course, you will have to be able to tell them that after soliciting the answers from your participants, you will have to be able to let them see their actual answers and saying that these are your actual answers. And of course, later on, the results, you will have to be able to render it or let your participants see the results. Now, these are the 8 detailed ways of how to create your research. Uh, uh, why is it titled? This is research. Bakit naging title? But anyway, sige. This should have been questions, but I think this is part of the research title. But I'm going to jump. Anyway, these are the ways on clarifying your research titles. So the core phenomena, what is it all about? It should highlight the context. You should indicate the participants, specify the methodology. You have to include the keywords for the research questions and ensure clarity and brevity. Now, you should avoid longer titles and reflect the aim of your study and consider the novelty and the appeal of it. Now, ito na yun. In qualitative research, you should be able to use, in terms of the research questions, the how and the what questions. And they are very inquiry into the processes, experiences, meanings, and context. And unlike the why questions, which can sometimes lead to assumptions, or this would require casual explanations. How and what questions would encourage depth, mas malalim, no? And exploration and participant-centered insights. So you are focusing on the specific participant, on for them to be able to um, um, how should I say this one? For them to be able to unleash or tell you, okay, um, what they have experienced, particularly of the research that you are conducting. So when you do the how question, or the question, or the how questions, you should be able to understand the processes and the experiences. Now, the how questions aim to uncover processes, mechanisms, and practices. Now, they focused on the way something occurs, develops, or is experienced. Now, they allow the researcher to explore participants' perspectives, not your perspectives. Again, I repeat, not your perspectives. You're not the bida. Okay, when you're doing the research, you let them um, share to you or explain to you of their actual experiences and the unfolding of the events, which you need to be able to capture. Remember, when you did your five senses activity, you will just have to be able to sit down in one area and observe. Yun lang, okay? The smell, what you see, what you heard, okay, what you actually feel. Now, the questions that you are going to be able to set are particularly useful, again, in doing the qualitative designs, in a phenomenology, understanding the lived experiences, in a grounded theory. You are to develop theories of processes. And in a case study, you will have to examine in depth the context of practices of, let's say, a certain organization or what they do. Examples of the how questions. So, for example, how do novice teachers develop resiliency during their first year in the profession? How are the traditional healing practices maintained within the indigenous communities? And how do university students adapt to fully online learning environments? Or how do parents of children with special needs experience inclusion programs in schools? And how do fisher folk sustain their livelihood amidst the climate change challenges? I think there is one student in STEM who will be doing a case study about marine life via fisher folk communities. Number two, the what. What questions exploring the meanings in the phenomena. The what questions explore the definitions, the meanings, and the experiences. And they would allow you as a researcher or the researchers to capture the essence of the phenomena and understand how participants interpret the reality. Now, these questions are highly applicable to phenomenology, meaning making, ethnography, culture practices, and of course, the case study, which is an in-depth description of a phenomena within the context. So examples of the what questions, what challenges, ito mga what challenges na to, normally this is said at ito yung third or the last questions, do students face in balancing academic responsibilities and their part-time work? What meanings do caregivers attribute to their role in supporting elderly family members? And what coping strategies do nurses employ when dealing with burnout? What cultural traditions shape the educational experiences of Indigenous learners? And what factors contribute to the collective identity of community-based organizations? So again, the key insights here, the how questions, you focus on the processes, the way things happen, evolve, uh, or experience. And the what questions, again, focus on the meanings and the phenomena, the essence, the attributes, and the significance of the experiences. Now, these are, again, detailed examples of research titles with research questions. So you have here, exploring the leadership styles of school principals in Catholic private schools, a case study. So how do school principals in Catholic private schools describe their leadership styles in managing academic and administrative tasks? What specific practices do principals employ to balance religious values with institutional demands? And how do teachers and staff perceive leadership approaches of their school principals. Now, okay. Now, the second example is the lived experiences of frontline nurses during the COVID-19 pandemic, a feminological study. So what are the lived experiences? Normally, that's the first question that you would be seeing in an actual feminology study. Okay. What are the lived experiences? Second, how the nurses make sense of their challenge and coping mechanisms amid the health crisis. And the last one would be what meanings do nurses attribute to their roles and responsibilities during the pandemic. Then we have another example, cultural practices of Mangyan indigenous communities in education, an ethnographic inquiry. Remember, when you do an ethnographic research, you are referring to an ethnic group or speaks about cultural practices and experiences. And then you also have developing a theory of teacher resilience in remote learning. This time it's a grounded theory. These are some of the research questions under this specific research title of the category of grounded theory approach. You also have digital transformation in higher education, a case study of Philippine universities. How do administrators and faculty members describe the process of digital transformation in their universities, the challenges and approaches arise in implementing digital initiatives in higher education, and how the students and faculty perceive the impact of digital transformation on teaching and learning. And we have the meaning of the academic burnout among senior high school students, a fenomenological investigation. You'll be able to see the research questions. Another one, ritual beliefs and collective identity of local fisher folk, an ethnographic study. Yeah. So I'll present to you 7 key authors and qualitative research, but I will be giving you more of which you can use as a reference later on. You have for John Cresswell, okay, for a qualitative research. So he is also doing quality, quantity, and mixed methods. So you can quote him, for example, in defining what a qualitative research is all about. You also have here Michael Payton, okay, quite famous also in doing qualitative evaluation research methods. Then you have Miriam, also Sharon B. Miriam. She's also doing qualitative research. You can quote her, but she's more in terms of adult learning. And then we have Kathy Sharmas. He's quite famous compared to the first two ones. He did the grounded theory. Then we have Norman Denzin. Okay, also not quite popular compared to Merriam and Payton and Cresswell. You have Lincoln as well, also an author of qualitative research, Hammersley or Martin Hammersley. Okay, and there are more. I will be sending later on. Okay, who are those authors that you need to be able to see and identify or even use in your specific qualitative research design. So as I end, let me just quote Zora Neale Hurston when she said, "Research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with a purpose." So I hope this lecture would be able to help you in polishing what you need to be able to polish. I think. Anyways, you still have until Friday naman. I think some of your papers, that we submitted. Yes, the papers are still here, but immediately tomorrow, please be able to get them and be able to see the necessary corrections to be done. I think that's it for our class for this morning. So please switch on your camera so we can take a photo all together for the attendance. Okay, sige. Let's all take a photo. Ano to? Wait. Okay, sige. 1, 2, 3. Okay, isa pa. 1, 2, 3. Okay, sige. Thank you very much. Okay, bye everyone.
Thank you po. Bye po.